Hi! I thought today I would read you the story, Bridget and the Butter. This story is written by Pamela Love, and Pamela Love is a child of Kingston Presbyterian Church. She grew up at Kingston. Isn't that fun? Her mom is Miss Jean Gibson, and her dad is Mr. Ray Gibson. Isn't that a fun piece of information? She has quite a few books, but today we're going to read Bridget and the Butter. So, I'll show you the pictures afterwards because there's lots of words. Long time ago in deep green Ireland lived a bright-eyed girl named Bridget. She and her mom worked very hard. By her 10th summer, that means she was 10, Bridget was cooking and cleaning and caring for the cows. Every day she led them to the meadow to graze and to drink from the stream there. Mornings and evenings she milked them. Besides all that, twice a week, she spent hours and hours and hours making fresh butter. There she is with all the cows. Making butter takes a long time. Making butter is not an easy job. Bridget poured the cream, the richest, the thickest part of the milk into a churn and nearly as high as her chin and into a thick paddle called a dash. Up and down and up and down and on she dipped the heavy dash. Finally, when her arms aching could hardly move on, butter would appear, floating in the churn. Next, Bridget washed the butter in cold water several times and she salted it. Only then could she and her mother enjoy the treat. Tired as she was, the taste of freshly buttered bread made Bridget's work all worthwhile. So there she is churning the butter. We just get our butter from the grocery store, but she made it. That's amazing, right? And here she is washing the butter and getting ready to salt it. Yet Bridget's life wasn't all churning and chores. She liked walking on buttercup covered fields and talked to the people in her village. She even got to see Bishop Patrick from time to time as he traveled throughout the countryside. One warm afternoon, Bridget and her mother came upon a small group of people gathered around the bishop. Once there was a huge crowd listening to Jesus, Bishop Patrick said. He had been teaching them all day long. The people were really, really hungry and they had no food. Oh no, Bridget thought. It would be terrible to be hungry. So here's where she sees Bishop Patrick in the field, and over here's where she's listening to him tell a story. Now, you and I know Bishop Patrick as St. Patrick, because he's from Ireland, and that's who Bridget's listening to. Jesus didn't want to send them away unfed, said Bishop Patrick. St. Patrick. Then a boy in the crowd gave one of the disciples all the food he had. He brought him, how many fish do you think? 5. 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. We know the story, right? Moving to the front of the crowd, Bridget heard the bishop say, "Do you know what happened next?" We know what happened next, don't we? Jesus blessed the food, and the boy had given the 2 fish, the 5 loaves, and everyone ate until they were filled. So the bishop is telling the story about Jesus and the little boy who shared his lunch, and Bridget's listening. She's just heard this story. Bridget often thought about the gospel stories that Bishop Patrick told and the generous boy who gave away his lunch. Nobody asked the boy to give up his food. He just did it anyway. And Jesus fed thousands of people with only a little bread and 2 fish. I wish I could be like that, she said. One day when her mother was away, Bridget did her usual chores. When she finished making the butter, she put it on a little dish and placed it on their bare table. It was the only food they had that day. It would be a little small supper if Bridget's mom could find some bread and bring it home. What if all we have to eat tonight is this butter, she thought. Just then, so here's Bridget thinking about Jesus' story, and here's Bridget after she's made the butter. Just then, Bridget heard a small knock, a soft knock on the cottage door. Opening it, she saw an old woman almost as short as Bridget, but even thinner. "Good day," the old lady said. "I wonder if you might help me. I've been walking all day long without a bite to eat. Do you have something you could spare?" She felt sorry for the old lady, but Bridget didn't know what to do. She and her mother had eaten nothing that morning. What could she offer this hungry woman? "Won't you come in and have a seat?" Bridget said. "My mother will be home by supper, by sunset. She might bring something home, some food. We would be happy to share our supper with you." So here's the old lady at the door, and here's Bridget talking to her. The old lady shook her head. "Such a kind thought, but I can't wait. Do you have anything that I could take now?" "No, we have nothing for ourselves, or almost nothing." Turning, Bridget pointed to the small dish on the table, the little ball of butter that she had made. "We've only this butter with nothing to spread it on." The woman's eyes turned misty with tears. "Butter? I can't remember the last time I had butter. I can hardly remember what it tastes like." She's thinking about how much she likes butter. Do you like butter? I like butter. Bridget didn't know what to say. She could well believe that the thin woman didn't remember the taste of butter. She looked as though she had hardly gotten any food to eat. But Bridget also loved the taste of butter. Don't we all? She almost said, "I'm sorry." She almost shut the door, but she didn't. She remembered Bishop Patrick's story. Bridget glanced at the churn standing in the corner. Making butter was a lot of work. Now she understood that helping others could be just as difficult. Jesus, only you can feed thousands, Bridget thought. But if I can give what I have to feed this one person before me, but that's what I could do. She's thinking about it, isn't she? With skirts swinging and swirling, Bridget spun around to pick up the butter. Holding it out, she said, "I pray you find someone who can give you bread to go with this." Excuse me. "God be with you on your journey, ma'am." So she decided to give her the butter. And she wishes her well as she sends her away with her butter. The old lady's face brightened up as she tucked the butter dish and all into her sack. "Thank you, my dear," she said. "May God repay you for your generosity." With a smile, the old lady headed down the path. There she is, heading down the path. Bridget's freckled nose wiggled as she wondered what her mother would say. But she didn't regret her choice, even if it meant going to bed hungry. "Lord, I'm glad the lady will have something to eat," Bridget prayed. "But now my mother and I have nothing. In your mercy, please provide for us too." So here's Bridget thinking about and praying to God. Will you provide for us? With a sigh, she turned around and saw 2 large dishes on the table, each piled high with butter. She had it made. Through her tears, Bridget prayed, "Thank you, Lord, for giving us so much butter and also for the chance to give what I had before." And that is a story about Bridget and the butter. Just like the little boy who gave his lunch to Jesus, Bridget was blessed with more because she'd given. We know that's true in lots of ways in our lives, don't we? Thanks for reading the story with me. Hope you have a good day. Jesus and Pastor Sharyl love you.